Chihiro Furuya is a first-year student at Shiyu High School, and he's obsessed with everything related to zombies. He collects all kinds of zombie-related items from DVDs and dolls to designs, video games, and more. What's even crazier is that he dreams of meeting a super cute zombie girl, and he even wants to fall in love with one. Chihiro shares this zombie girl obsession with his two close friends, Yasutaka and Emoji. Naturally, Yasutaka thinks Chihiro's wish is strange, but Chihiro doesn't care because it's been his dream for a long time. Yasutaka is curious about what exactly makes Chihiro so attracted to cute zombie girls. Chihiro simply replies that it brings joy to his heart. Moji suggests that maybe Chihiro feels sympathy for those who have died and come back to life. However, Yasutaka disagrees with Moji's reasoning. The truth is, even Chihiro doesn't really know what drives his obsession with zombie girls. The Furuya family has a long history of maintaining the Shiryu Temple. Chihiro lives with his family at the temple. His grandfather, Jaguru Furuya, seems a bit senile, while his father, Duwon Furuya, serves as the head priest at the temple. His younger sister, Mero Furuya, is a 12-year-old girl. Every day, Chihiro's father handles breakfast while Mero takes care of the other household chores. During mealtimes, Jaguru repeatedly tells Mero to stop putting Napa cabbage in the miso soup, and Mero always replies that it's just regular cabbage. That's just how Jaguru is, and the whole family is used to it because of his age. Another member of their family is Babu, a stray cat that used to roam around the temple until they adopted him. Chihiro's mother passed away when he was young, and he doesn't even remember her anymore. Even so, Chihiro feels their family is incredibly happy, and he's grateful that he's never felt lonely. One day, their family suffered a loss. Babu was hit by a car driven by their neighbor, and Chihiro witnessed it. The neighbor, an elderly man Chihiro had known since childhood, explained that Babu had suddenly appeared when his car was passing by, and he couldn't stop in time. Chihiro was heartbroken, unable to think or do anything. Duwon said they couldn't bury animals at the temple because the followers would strongly oppose it, so he apologized to Chihiro and Mero for only being able to bury Babu behind their house. Mero asked her older brother if, as children of the temple, they should be able to control their emotions during times like this. Chihiro responded, saying that wasn't true. Mero then approached her brother, and they hugged and cried together over Babu's grave. That night, Chihiro couldn't sleep. He was overwhelmed by thoughts of why death had to happen so suddenly, causing such deep sadness. He even began to think that no one should ever have to die. Suddenly, he had a wild idea. He looked for a book stored in his cabinet, one that he got last year while helping his relatives in the Tohoku region sort through old documents that were to be donated to the local archives. The book seemed like an ordinary notebook, and no one even knew when it had been written. The office considered it useless, but not Chihiro. Inside, it detailed a spell that could supposedly bring the dead back to life. It might have been nonsense, but Chihiro thought there was no harm in trying. He decided to resurrect Babu using the magic from the book. He dug up Babu's grave and placed the body in an empty ice cream container before taking it to an abandoned building. Chihiro figured no one would come there, allowing him to perform the ritual without interruption. He entered the building and went up to the upper floors. Chihiro loved zombies, so he would continue to cherish Babu even if he came back as a zombie. On the second day of preparing the magic potion, Chihiro noticed a girl approaching the well near the abandoned building. Not long after, she screamed into the old well. The next morning, Chihiro took ice blocks from the fridge and put them into a bucket when Mero came up to him, startling him. Mero asked what Chihiro was doing, but Chihiro said he wasn't doing anything. His younger sister didn't believe him, feeling like he was lying, especially with his suspicious behavior. Still, Chihiro ignored her and left with the ice blocks. He placed the ice blocks into a cooler that held Babu's body, neatly stored in his bedroom closet. Chihiro headed to school with Yasutaka and Moji. Yasutaka felt like Chihiro wasn't paying attention to his story, but Chihiro assured him that he was. Yasutaka didn't believe him and asked for Chihiro's opinion. Chihiro was confused about what opinion he was talking about, proving that he hadn't been listening at all. Yasutaka ended up repeating his story, talking about the girls at Sankarea High School and their classmates. Sankarea High was known for having the prettiest girls in the area, while Shiyu High School was an all-boys school and was boring in comparison. Yasutaka regretted that the students of Sankarea High always took a different route to school. In fact, the buildings of Shiyu High and Sankarea High were located across from each other, separated by a river. Yasutaka had purposely applied to Shiyu High because it was near Sankarea High, hoping to meet and get to know one of the rich girls from Sankarea. He also mentioned that a very wealthy girl had started at Sankarea High this year. Yasutaka was thrilled when he pointed out which girl he meant. The girl with long black hair on the other side of the river was the daughter of Sankarea's principal. Her name was Sankarea. Yasutaka was completely captivated by Rei's beauty and said that because she came from such a high-class family, she was surely an innocent and pure girl. But Chihiro disagreed, saying that not everything was always as it seemed. This irritated Yasutaka, who felt like Chihiro was acting like a know-it-all. Later that day, Chihiro's cousin, Saju Ranko, came to his house to deliver some food. Dune greeted her and mentioned that Mero would be home late today, so he thanked Ranko for bringing the food. Ranko asked where Chihiro was. Dune said Chihiro was in his room, mentioning that since Babu's death, Chihiro always seemed tired and went straight to bed after school. Ranko went into Chihiro's room and woke him up, returning a zombie DVD she had borrowed from him earlier. Chihiro had completely forgotten that he had lent her the DVD. Ranko was surprised, especially since Chihiro had promised to come over to her house to retrieve it. Chihiro explained that he had been a bit busy, but Ranko wasn't convinced and started pulling his hair in frustration. She stopped when Chihiro suddenly asked if she knew Sankarea, a first-year student at Sanka High, since Ranko attended the same school. Ranko said she knew her, and Chihiro asked what kind of girl Rei was. Ranko only knew Rei as the principal's daughter and teased Chihiro, wondering if he liked her. She tugged on his hair again, and Chihiro, in pain, quickly denied liking Rei, saying that Yasutaka was the one interested in her. Continuing to mess with him, Ranko was annoyed because she thought Chihiro had been upset about Babu's death, but it seemed like he was doing just fine. Chihiro, still in pain, pleaded with Ranko to stop. She threw him onto the bed, said goodbye, and reminded him to come to her house next week. Ranko borrowed another zombie DVD and left. Saju Ranko was Chihiro's cousin. Her parents ran a traditional Japanese restaurant, and she was a second-year student at Sanka High School. Even though she was only about half a year older than Chihiro, Ranko always acted like his big sister. On the second night of Chihiro's magic experiment, he began preparing the tools and ingredients needed to make the potion as described in the book. However, one of the pages was unreadable because it was stained. The page seemed to indicate that the necessary ingredient was some type of poisonous plant, but he couldn't figure out which one. Previously, Chihiro had tried using poisonous water hemlock leaves, but it didn't work. He was feeling pessimistic about his efforts, but decided to keep trying for a week. If there were no results by then, he would have no choice but to bury Babu again. Suddenly, he heard footsteps outside the building, so he went to check. It turned out to be Rei, who was heading toward the well near the building. Once she reached it, Rei screamed loudly into the old well, just like she had the night before, pouring out all her frustrations. Rei cried out, wondering why she had to be born into the Sanka family. She just wanted freedom to come and go as she pleased with her friends. But because she was part of the Sanka family, she was never allowed to. Chihiro watched from the window above, sipping from a bottle of water. He was shocked when Rei shouted that she wanted her father to stop taking naked pictures of her on her birthday to record her growth. Startled, Chihiro accidentally dropped his drink, which caught Rei off guard. Chihiro tried to hide below the window, but Rei had already seen him. They awkwardly met, and Chihiro felt really uncomfortable around Rei. He tried to start a conversation, but suddenly, Rei begged him to forget everything he had just seen and not tell anyone, saying she'd do anything he asked. Casually, Chihiro joked that he might spread what he had heard yesterday. Rei was mortified to hear that Chihiro had actually been listening since the night before. She thought maybe it would be better if he hadn't said anything. Now she felt so embarrassed that dying seemed preferable to living. She wished she could die and be reborn as someone else. Chihiro was surprised that even someone from a rich family like Rei could have such problems. He told her it was normal for someone to go to a quiet place and scream as loudly as they could when forced to do things they hated in life. Rei then asked if Chihiro had come there to scream too. Chihiro explained everything, and Rei was shocked to hear about the magic to bring someone back from the dead. She asked if that was even possible. Chihiro couldn't say for sure, but he thought maybe the magic could turn someone into a wandering zombie. He was only trying to help bring Babu back, but now he wasn't so sure. Chihiro really wanted to see Babu running around again like he used to. He even started to think he was just forcing his will onto Babu, who might not even want to come back. But Rei encouraged him, saying she believed that maybe Babu did want to be with Chihiro again. Rei even offered to help Chihiro. Chihiro asked her if she really wanted to get involved with something so strange. Rei explained that her father was obsessed with cleanliness, so they weren't allowed to have any pets at home. She really wanted to show love to animals. Chihiro didn't mind, and he also remembered that Rei said she'd do anything for him. He jokingly told Rei she could become a zombie, since she wanted to die and be reborn as someone else. But of course, Chihiro was just kidding. Reia's frightened expression made him laugh. Just as he suspected, Reia was easily tricked. Chihiro then warned her to be careful around guys, saying that bad guys might trick her when she's not paying attention. Reia responded by saying she didn't have a boyfriend, so she'd be fine. Chihiro teased her, saying only innocent girls would be proud of something like that. Reia then asked if Chihiro had a girlfriend, to which he replied that he didn't. Reia pointed out that Chihiro had no right to tease her when he didn't have a girlfriend either. Chihiro told Reia that he wasn't into living girls, he was only interested in zombie girls. Of course, Reia was shocked by that. Chihiro wasn't joking about this. Ever since he was a kid, he had been searching for a zombie girl, though it was obviously hard to find one. Reia stood up and asked Chihiro if he was ready to keep his word if she ever became a zombie. Chihiro was confused, but Reia smiled and told him to think about it before saying goodbye and heading home. Chihiro felt frustrated because he felt like she had outsmarted him. Reia suggested they meet again at the same place tomorrow. Chihiro had never imagined something like this before, imagining Reia becoming a zombie.